Continuamos con más acción desde aquí, desde Santiago. Tal como les dije, tiene que pasarse por cualquiera de las 11 tiendas, ya son 11 tiendas diseminadas por todo el país de Oakley, las O6 Store, donde usted podrá encontrar una gran gama de ropa de esta gran marca que ha llegado a República Dominicana, que vino de la mano del conocimiento de los lentes, pero que ahora se ha metido con todo lo que es la ropa de golf para que usted se distinga cuando entre a cualquier campo de golf y además la tecnología de las telas que usa Oakley. Así que pásese por cualquiera de las tiendas O6 Store. Fueron electos los mejores tiros de la historia del golf. Esto es discutible, ¿verdad? Porque es un asunto de apreciación. Pero cuando ESPN dispone de su logística y de su conocimiento y de tanta gente que trabaja allí, que son verdaderos íconos del juego, gente que tiene muchos años de experiencia viendo golf. Y no solamente el tiro, señores, es el momento crucial en que se hizo una determinada acción. Porque a veces lo grande de un tiro no es sencillamente la acción per se. Tú hiciste un tremendo tiro que la dejaste. Es el momento en que, por ejemplo, tú estás perdiendo y sacas de abajo y haces un tiro extraordinario. Son dos videos que lo vamos a poner uno detrás del otro. Y agradecemos y tenemos que dar crédito a ESPN, pues hemos tomado eso desde su página, para que usted también sea testigo por este programa de cuáles han sido los mejores tiros de la historia según ESPN. Veamos.
Final round of the 1995 British Open at St. Andrews. Needing a birdie on the par 4 18th to force a playoff, Constantino Rocca dribbled his second shot into the infamous Valley of Sin. The Italian followed the humiliation with jubilation, running in a 65-foot putt from off the green to catch John Daly.
Years from now, what will be forgotten is that he basically laid the sod over the shot before. He looked like a 20 handicapper on the shot before. He duffed it.
Just the look of horror on his face portended that there was no way that he had any chance on the next putt.
And there's John Daly with his wife looking on. If Constantino Rocca doesn't make it, then John's going to win the British Open.
He was celebrating. They were hugging, and John had a big smile on his face.
All Rocca has to do is miss this impossible shot. And John Daly is the champion of the British Open in 1995.
Yes! Yes! Rocca has done it!
Classic golfer's redemption. It epitomized everything golf is about. No matter how good you are or how bad you are, you can have a bad moment or a good moment. It's the rise and fall of golf.
Never forget Constantino Rocca going to his knees, kissing the ground, and crying. I mean, he was literally crying.
After Rocca holed that great putt, he went in the playoff with John Daly, and I think that he used up so much of his energy on that 18th green, getting in the playoff. He really didn't have a whole lot left, and John Daly went on and won that playoff.
At the 1995 U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills, Corey Pavin, leading by 1, faced a daunting second shot of 228 yards on the final hole. He sent the ball boring through the wind, and it settled only 5 feet from the cup. While he missed the birdie putt, his par was enough for a 2-stroke win over who else? Greg Norman.
I give Corey so much credit. It was a very tough day to play. The greens were hard as a rock, and it was very breezy.
Wind was into the players and from the right. Corey, not one of the longer hitters by any means on the PGA Tour, was left with a long second shot.
Greg Norman was on his heels. He's got to make a par to really ice this thing, and he pulls his forward out and knocks it up the green, and it looked like it was going to go in. It broke off to the right.
The 18th there at Shinnecock, where he played from, was actually kind of below a little bit of a rise, so he had to kind of run up about 30 yards to actually see where the ball was going to land.
The forward shot itself is what won him the tournament, a shot that he had to have. It was a very difficult shot, and for him to pull it off in that moment ranks as certainly one of the great shots in major championship history.
I'm just so proud that my name can get on here, and I'm just so happy to get the old monkey off my back.
8. You know, the Masters doesn't go very long without providing you with something tremendous. And I think that going into 1986, the air was pregnant for something really dramatic to happen. The only missing ingredient was Jack Nicklaus. Everybody thought he was done.
In the final round of the 1986 Masters, the Olden Bear became the Golden Bear again. After bagging an eagle, 46-year-old Jack came to the 170-yard par 3/16, a water-shrouded hole that had rewarded him frequently. He stuck a 5-iron 3 feet from the hole. That birdie was part of a back nine 30, and the man whose time they said had passed them all.
He had just gotten himself into contention. He had just come off eagling the 15th hole.
There was electricity in the air that I have still not ever seen in another sporting event like it. The buzz as people were hearing about Jack Nicklaus at 46 making this move, it was magic.
All of a sudden, I wasn't Jack Nicklaus 46 years old. I was Jack Nicklaus in the prime of his career, knowing what he could do coming down that stretch to do it.
Well, Jack steps on 16 and he can smell blood. And when the bear smells blood, you always get the best out of him.
He needed a birdie, and as soon as he hit it, his son Jackie, who's caddying for him that week, says, "Be right."
He picked up his tee as calm as can be, winked at me and said, "It is."
Now, why I would say that? It's because I knew. I knew that the ball was absolutely dead right.
And in my life, I've never heard golf galleries like that. It sounded like the most raucous football crowd you could possibly imagine.
Bob Tway and myself were in the twosome immediately in front of Jack Nicklaus and Sandy Lyle. And the hair on the back of our necks stood up. That's how loud the roar was.
That's what we keep remembering. Every time Jack Nicklaus plays in the Masters, the reason why we think he's got a shot is because of shots like that at 16. And the reason why he probably does have a shot is because of shots like that at 16.
16 months after surviving a horrific auto accident that led doctors to question whether he would walk again, Ben Hogan limped his way through 36 holes on the same day of the 1950 U.S. Open. At the finishing hole at Marion, needing par to join a playoff, he struck a practically perfect 1-iron from more than 200 yards onto the green. Hogan two-putted from 40 feet and the next day won the playoff decisively.
There's a famous photograph that Hy Peskin took of Hogan's follow-through hitting his approach shot to 18. It's the most famous shot in photograph in golf history.
His legs at Marion were wrapped. He was in enormous pain.
To get ready to play golf took 3 hours, and afterwards it took him 3 hours to, get himself put back together again.
The fact that in a pressure situation, in as much pain as he was in, to execute that shot at that moment to win the U.S. Open makes it remarkable.
In the 1986 PGA Championship at Inverness, tied with Greg Norman on the 72nd hole, Bob Tway buried his drive in thick rough, then hacked it out and into a deep greenside bunker. All seemed lost. But Tway exploded the ball in a shower of sand, and it rolled into the hole for a birdie 3 in the championship. Who could believe it? Well, Greg Norman, that's who.
1986 was the year Greg Norman won the Saturday Slam. He was leading or tied for the lead at every major on Saturday, and he only won one of them, and this was one that looked like he was going to win.
Tway and Norman battled all day. Tway had played well, but they were tied going into the last hole, and Tway looked like he was finally starting to come apart.
That's short. In the bunker.
Bob was in almost an impossible position in the front right bunker. The green's very severely sloped. The hole cut on the right-hand side of the green.
The only way Tway could do anything was knock it in from out of the bunker, and he did.
My memory of Tway is that I could only see half of his body in the bunker, and I could just see his head looking for the ball, and the look of amazement on this half person as he sees the ball disappear.
When I think of shots like that, I just think of moments frozen in time. Those are signature shots, and for Tway, not only an amazing moment, but a signature moment, something that defines you.
And Norman, the ultimate snake-bitten shark, shakes his head in disbelief. This happened again.
5-5-5.
Making a double eagle is an amazing thing. Making a double eagle during a major is unheard of.
In the final round of the 1935 Masters, 3 strokes behind the clubhouse leader, Gene Sarazen stood on the hill above the par 5 15th considering his second shot. He had 235 yards to negotiate. He lashed a 4-wood and the ball soared safely over the water fronting the green and rolled into the hole. 2 strokes on a par 5, the rarest score in golf.
Right when Sarazen got to his ball, there was a roar on the 18th green, and Craig Wood had won the thing. They thought he's up 3 shots.
Gene Sarazen knew he was 3 shots behind, so he had to make up ground.
I was going to play the shot safe, but I realized that I had to get a birdie, never thinking I was going to hold it out. Bobby Jones was one of the spectators. So you see, I had Bobby Jones and Walter Hagen as witnesses to the shot.
The shot heard around the world. I don't know if it's heard around the world, but I'm sure they heard it up at the clubhouse, and suddenly Craig Wood goes from being 3 up to he's tied.
So they stopped the prize giving. All the scribes of the day, the golfing scribes, scuttled away to alter their copy. Oh no, hold the front page, hold the back page. You know, we've got a new winner. It's not him, it's him.
The next day was the only 36-hole playoff in Masters history, and Gene won fairly comfortably by 5 shots.